All right, so we're going to do 2014, number 3. This would be a non-calculator problem on the AP test, all right? Remember, your calculators will do almost all the work if you let them. And it gives a function, a fundamental theorem of calculus, FTC, an area under the curve function, and it gives the graph of the function, and it's a piecewise. And the first thing they ask is, hey, they want you to find g of 3. And everyone, I'm not going to write this out, but we're just going to replace x here with 3, right? So it's asking you to take the integral from -3 to 3. And the big thing that the AP test is tested for here is the understanding that there is a positive triangle followed by a negative triangle. I just have to find the area of the curve. So if I'm writing this out, this is what I write. I go g of 3 equals 1/2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 1/2, 1, 1, 2. All right. And I get half of 20 is 10 minus 1. And I get g of 3 equals 9. All right. Now, you could have done this as 2 right triangles, guys, if you wanted. That's all I see, too, is right triangles. But here's the big thing. And one of the reasons, if you are going to take the AP test, you've got to write g of 3. Right? You just can't write 9 equals. All right? This would be a fairly quick problem. All right? Well, it'd be okay. Yeah, we'll go there. I just wrote g of t because that's what was there, and I would get this. All right? So there's A. And everybody, that was worth 1 point. Every AP problem is worth 9 points. It's a weird number, right? It's a RIT score. Usually, if you can get half of them, you're doing pretty well. So that's A. Letter B. They want the intervals where G was increasing and concave down. The thing I kind of glanced for, and if you were on my test, the thing I would be really interested in would, did you understand that G prime had to be greater than 0? And that G prime prime had to be less than 0. Does that make sense, everybody? That's the most important thing on this problem. All right? Now, the other thing then is that you can find G prime. Guys, G prime happens when? G prime is the derivative of this. We've talked about this, right? The derivative of this is just the function. So G prime of x is just f of x. So I want to know where G prime is greater than 0. So I want to know where f of x is greater than 0. Guys, where is f of x greater than 0 when we look at the graph? F of x is greater than 0 here, not here, 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 not here. So I would write 2 intervals where g of x, or g prime, where f of x is positive. All right? So I would write the interval -5 to -3 and -3 to 2. You guys see that? Now, everyone, that's not the answer. That's just where G prime is positive. We got to do the other thing now. So I'll erase this. I love having a smart board for these problems. And we know that G prime prime then, if I do it in red, is equal to f prime of x. And this is where it gets funky. You want to know where f prime of x is negative. So we're looking at the curve of f up over here. This is the graph of f. Guys, if this is the graph of f, we want to know where it's decreasing. So now I'm looking at the curve, and it's here and there. You guys agree? So those intervals are -5 to -3 and 0 to 4. And the question is, where do those two overlap? They overlap at -5 to -3 and how about 0 to 2? You see it here between? So that's the answer. That's the intervals, all right? And now, how would you justify it if you had to justify it? It says give a reason. The reason here, oops, for the justification, and I don't want to write it out today, I'm feeling lazy. The reason is that you want G prime to be positive, that's why I wrote it, and G prime prime to be negative. And I would make a note that G prime is positive where f of x value is positive, and G prime prime or f prime is negative where the slope of the graph of f is negative. The AP problems, if you look them up on the internet, are always the most concise wording you're ever going to find, right? Because they think about it to the nth degree. If you're doing the AP test, almost anything will work. Does everybody get a rough understanding? And this is tough. And we haven't really hit the hard problems. These are the two I was hoping you would see and get through when we first did it, all right? All right. I'm going to erase this and pull up C. Letter C. They are defining h of x as a function of g of x divided by 5x. They want h prime of 3. So what's the first thing you got to do? You got to find the derivative. And everyone, what kind of thing is this? Quotient. It's a quotient rule problem. So first thing I do is I go h prime of x. Derivative of the top is g prime times the bottom, which is still 5x, minus derivative of the bottom is 5 times the top, which is g of x. All divided by 5x squared. I'm pretty sure it's 25x squared. Everybody, do not overthink this. Do not simplify this, because it didn't ask you to simplify h prime. It asked you to find h prime of 3. So let's plug it in. Now, g prime of 3 times 5 times 3 minus 5 times g of 3 over 25 times 3 squared is 9. You guys agree? So I would actually write this if I was doing the AP test. And everybody, and I know I pushed it off, but if you look at your notes, we already calculated g of 3 for letter A. G of 3 is 9. So I would probably just even put 9, and I would probably write from A. You guys agree? And I should probably actually make it so it's readable if I'm going to write it. From A. What don't we know right now then? G prime. But from B, we recognize that G prime of 3 is just f of 3. So if I go over to the graph, and I read f of 3, I just want to read the value. Let's see here. Oh. F of 3 is negative 2. So now this is just plug and chug time. Negative 2 times 15 minus 5 times 9 all over 25 times 9 is, 25 times 8 is 200, so this is 225. So negative 30 minus 45. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to revert back to 25 times 9. Because I get negative 30 minus 45, and I can write this as 25 times 3, cancel 25s. And the answer to number, letter C of problem 3 is negative 1/3. And I get this is a weird number, right? It's almost impossible to get a feel for what that means even. In this context, guys, the AP test is testing your ability to see multiple things. It starts off that the quotient rule is a big step. And then it became an evaluation problem. Being able to do fundamental theorem of calculus, the quotient rule, and understand the derivatives of the fundamental theorem of calculus. All right. If you're actually taking the AP, it is so important that you guys put notes down like from A. All right. So anyway, that's C. That leaves letter D, which was a wickedly, that was also worth 3 points. The second one was 2. So there are 3 points to the last one. Letter D says the function is defined by P of x equals f of x squared minus x. Find the slope of the line tangent to the graph of P at point where x equals -1. So they just want the slope at, so they want P prime, right? -1, I'm sorry, thank you, -1. Well, everybody, the last problem was quotient rule. What is P of x going to require you to do? Chain rule. So everybody, and again, it's just getting used to the idea. So this is a chain rule. Derivative of P of x is P prime. The derivative of the chain rule is F prime. Do not change the stuff inside. Times the derivative of the inside. And again, I would not get cute. Don't simplify. Just get that -1 in there. F prime of, guys, be careful, -1 squared minus a -1 times 2 times -1 is -2 minus 1 equals F prime of, is it 2 times -3 when you're done. All right. So F prime of 2, I'm going to go to 2, and the distractor here, guys, is not 0. That's F of 2. It says F prime of 2, not G prime. It says F prime. So what does it ask? It's not 2 comma 0. It's not 0. It is the slope of this line. So guys, we're going to have to calculate the slope of the blue line. We know it's negative. Everybody agree? I'll make a triangle from the points I can see. I see it right here personally, 2 and -4. So everybody, I see the slope of the line as -2. So the answer to this problem is +6. If you're scoring this at home, out of the 3 points, this was 2 points. That was only 1. So again, when we talk about scoring, you can print the scoring spreadsheets. It's always the steps that you got to show, all right, when we're doing AP problems. And as we get better at them as a class, we'll keep practicing them. I make this, and this is the first, for this class, even though I'm doing it on YouTube, this is the first one this class has done. I make this look tremendously easy. And, you know, it is not easy, guys. These problems typically require you to have all your knowledge lined up. That's why, even though you're not taking the AP in my course, I think they're a great practice as we finish the year. Keep practicing, all right? We'll keep going.